Even the sneaker thing. I was on social media last night. Very interesting as you see black support eroding from Joe Biden. This is connecting with black America because they love sneakers. They're into sneakers. They love this is a big deal, certainly in the inner city. So when you have Trump roll out his sneaker line, they're like, wait a minute, this is cool. He's reaching them on a level that defies and is above politics. The culture always trumps politics. And Trump understands culture like no politician I've ever seen.
Question for you on that point, though.
Yeah.
Will the people that are excited about the sneakers and excited about Donald Trump, will that translate into them going out and voting for Donald Trump?
Well, anybody willing to put $400 down for a pair of sneakers? Yeah, I think that's commitment and love. It's something.
You're right.
It's something. It's affection.
So y'all just saw that video right there. And when I was sent this, I said I immediately have to jump on this topic of discussion, because this right here, if any other moment that I've ever told y'all before in the past about the buzzard theory, about the two wings attached to the same buzzard, did not stick out to anyone before who has heard me talk about it over the course of the last few months. This right here should tell you how important and how potent that two wings attached to the same buzzard theory actually are. Now, we have many black people who will call out the Democratic Party and how they love to pander to us through whatever means they will in order to get us to support them or get them on their side, no matter what, even though we know for a fact that they're not going to do a damn thing for us, at least what they should be doing for us or meeting our demands. Now here you have Trump coming out with this shoe, and I knew immediately how this was all going to play out. Now, before I get into what this dude says, let's just talk about the rollout. So as we all know, Trump was made to order to pay the city of, or the state of New York, $350+ million. And he was banned from doing business in New York for 3 years. Now, we all know that he does not have that money. Anybody with a sound mind knows he does not have that money. What are the odds that the very next day he rolls out these shoes? And it's like, where did this come from? It's like, when did Trump get into the sneaker business? Like, this man has been doing business for years, and never once were sneakers a part of his brand. Like, that's what caught me off guard. I'm like, when did he start doing sneakers? And then when they showed that is right after this, I said, oh, we know what he's trying to do. He's trying to recoup this money, because guess what? If he actually had the money like he claims he does, he wouldn't have to do this. So he's trying to do this in order to pay off these debts. And then he just rolls this shoe out, and then people start, like, going crazy for it, or whatever the case may be. They can go crazy for it. I'm not a sneakerhead. It is what it is. Then, double irony, it happens around the same time as SneakerCon. Now, in case y'all are unaware what SneakerCon is basically is what it is. It's a sneaker convention. You know how you have Comic-Con, like the San Diego Comic-Con, you have the the New York Comic-Con, different conventions where people go and they may dress up, or they have different stuff on display. They have panels, they have discussions, maybe it'd be celebrities that are there, and so on and so forth. Well, SneakerCon is the same thing, but it's for shoes, for sneakers, for sneakerheads, for people who are engraved into the sneaker culture. So he decides to announce that he's releasing this sneaker, which he has every right to do. But then it turns into a political type of event. And when I'm looking at these sneakers and I'm thinking about what's going on the back end, what's going on with him in New York and this money he has to pay, I said, I see what it is. Then, get to give a little bit of a reality story here with myself and my trainer. My trainer is actually a sneakerhead. And I was telling her in a joking way, I said, did you hear about, Trump shoes and everything like that? And she looked at me with such a mean side eye that her eyes an eyelash could have cut through steel. I could tell she was really upset about that. Not because Trump was there and trying to sell the shoe, but because she was upset because she says she's a sneakerhead, she's a part of the sneaker culture, and she says an event like that should not turn into something that is political based. That's not what that's there for. And the fact that the people at SneakerCon, or the people who run it, actually allowed him to come there and turn it into that. Mind you, it was people that were there who actually booed him, because it's like, why would you come there and turn that into a political event? That's not what we're here for. And the only people that were probably happy to see him were probably people who were Trump supporters. So if people were there that didn't know they were Trump supporters before, they found out that day that they probably had people closer than that were. But it is what it is. And she says, because of that, I will probably never give them my business ever again. And one thing I can say about my trainer is if she says she's not going to give someone support, she means just that. And I didn't see it from that point of view when she had said it before. But you know what? I said, you know what? If I was a sneakerhead and I went to SneakerCon and I saw that, I would probably feel the same type of way too. Because why would you allow him to come there and turn that into a political event? Now, if he was just there to sell a sneaker, then that's fine. But to turn it into what he did, then like as if it was going to be one of his rallies, no, that's not what that event is all about. And then of course they probably did it because it looked good for them as far as the business goes. So I wanted to just kind of give y'all that little part right there. Now back to what this guy said. Now I don't know what this dude's name. If I find out, I'll probably insert it somewhere into the video or in the description. Is on Fox News. Surprise, surprise. And he's talking about SneakerCon and how this could be a way to get black people to support Trump, because black people, and mind you, he said especially in the inner city, and we know what that's code for, in the hood, in the ghetto, in the projects, love sneakers. First of all, not every black person is a sneakerhead, because not every black person can afford all these sneakers. These sneakers sometimes have been released, re-released, repackaged, refurbished, however you want to say it, and then they throw a different price tag on it. It's crazy how old I feel, because I remember when the cool grays came out when I was in middle school. I mean, when the cool grays came out when I was in middle school. So you're talking about between the years of 2000 to 2003. And then when they re-released them years later, which was maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 at the most, I said, wow, now I feel old that I'm in an era where I can say I was around when the first editions of a pair of sneakers came out, and then I was around to see it's re-released. So I'm not ingrained into the sneaker culture. I'll be completely honest with you right now. I don't own one pair of J's. Hey, y'all are probably like, oh, I can't believe it. Believe it. I do not own one pair of J's. If I ever did own a pair of J's, that just means that I was really liking what the shoe looked like and I wanted to, splurge for myself that day. But to say just to go out and just spend money on a bunch of sneakers, that's just personally not my thing. But that's fine, because I don't judge it on anybody who goes out and they want to support their own habit. I would rather them go out there and buy a pair of sneakers rather than going out there and buying drugs or anything that could be bad for or harmful to their body. So I will support that habit, at least. Now back to this guy. He says what he said, and he truly believes that is a way that is going to get people to quote unquote support Trump, black people. This is a pandering tactic that the Democrats use when it comes to us. That's why I keep telling y'all my two wings attached to the same buzzer theory is full on in full throttle mode. They both do the same thing and then try to claim that one side doesn't and the other doesn't. He just said it right there. This is a pandering tactic. And he tries to make it seem like it's only black people that go out and buy these sneakers. Well, at SneakerCon, there was this man, I can't think of his name right now. I just looked it up, well, the video for itself, and I was hoping that the name would be attached to the video. And it was a man there, and he spent, I think, like $9,000 on a pair of those Trump, whatever they're calling them, just to say that he was the first one to buy them. So I'm going to insert the video right here, and I'll give my take on it afterwards. Now, I had to mute the actual conversation he was having with the people holding the camera because of copyright, because there was music playing in the background, and I know that it probably would have got picked up by YouTube. But basically what was being discussed was that this guy, this CEO, bought or won a bid on these shoes that were autographed by Donald Trump, as y'all can see his signature right there at on the shoe, and he won the bid for $9,000. Mind you, I believe they're retailing these shoes for about $300 something, and this guy bid $9,000 for them. I believe they said that the shoes sold out, and they tried to play it up like it was a big deal. I think they had maybe 10 pairs of shoes at this event. So it would have been very easy for this shoe to sell out, especially if they were retailing for like $300, maybe $400, which, by the way, is way more than what a lot of traditional sneakerheads would pay for a pair of shoes. Let me just throw that out there. I could not see myself paying all that money for a pair of shoes, and it doesn't even have to be a sneaker. But he bid $9,000 for it. Now, peep this. This is a white man. He's a CEO. He's a multi-millionaire of some sort. I don't know what business or entity. That's besides the point. He bid $9,000 and won the bid for a pair of autographed Donald Trump sneakers. That completely dwarfs the point that PC man said over at Fox News, that it's mostly inner city that will buy the shoes. You know, black people love sneakers and all this, that, and the third. And again, it's not saying that black people don't love sneakers, but to make it seem like it's only black people that do is completely disingenuous. Might I add to you, at SneakerCon, based on conversations I've seen people have online about it, demographic wise, SneakerCon attracts a lot of white people, both men and women, but mainly men. And here we have an example of a white man at this event and spent all that money on a bid for a pair of shoes signed by Donald Trump. I guess because he thought that the event was in Philly, that it just had to attract a lot of black people. You do realize people will travel to go to this event, especially since this is the only one. It's not like SneakerCon is traveling by tour and going to multiple cities. So if it lands in your city or nearby, you can just go there. No, people will fly in to go to this event to promote a shoe, to buy shoes, to look at shoes. Because some of these shoes are custom made, so you may only be able to get them or see them at this event. You might not see them inside of a store. So people will travel to go to these events. Now, going back to another thing that was mentioned, when the guy was on Fox News talking about how Donald Trump understands culture and he's like a leader when it comes to culture and he understands culture, I don't think he understands very well. If he thinks that dangling these shoes in front of people, in front of black people, is going to sway them to get over there to vote for them, that sadly mistaken. Keep this in mind, y'all. I did that video about Matt Gaetz saying, or quote unquote, trying to diversify MAGA and how they came out against him. I did that triple P on those black Trump supporters who basically got kicked out of that space because they didn't want them there. It's not the shoes, it's the people. Why would we want to go over there? That's what we're talking about. And again, they're doing the same thing that the Democrats do. Again, my two wings on the buzzer theory is working as it should. Yet again, kicked into high gear, and it's going to stay there. Now, the woman on the panel had asked him, do you think that, putting these shoes out there, is that going to translate to people wanting to go and vote for Trump? And he says, in so many words, why wouldn't it? So he's basically saying, as long as we as black people have a carrot dangled in front of us, in this case, the carrot in this scenario would be the shoe, why wouldn't we go vote for them? Is that not the same thing that the Democrats do all the time? That's why I can't stand when there's certain black people who will come and say which party is worse than the other or the lesser of two evil things. Listen, y'all can try the lesser of two evil things with someone else, but you can't do it on me. That's why I'm a registered independent, because I know they're both not for us. This right here proved without the shadow of a doubt that that is definitely the case. And this is not even the only proof, but this is some proof right here that if you can say that a shoe, a $400 shoe, that's what it's retailed for, is enough to get black people to come vote for this man, then you are sadly mistaken. They do not have us figured out at all, but they think they do. This guy talking thinks that he has black people figured out, much like the rest of them do, and they have no clue. I'm telling you, when November 5th comes, it's going to be a lot of disappointed people on both sides. I, however, who lies and dwells somewhere in the middle, in the neutral zone, won't be feeling a damn thing but relief that this thing is done and we can just move right past it. Something tells me that it's going to be something else that's going to kick in, but leave me out of it. And this, what this guy did, moreover than everything that I just talked about up until this point, has some very anti-black under and overtones. Because again, they use the stereotype that black people, all we're gonna do if we got reparations is spend money on what? Cars, clothes, drinks, jewelry, and shoes. I've seen it. Whenever they want to talk about whatever we're going to spend our money on when it comes to reparations, shoes is always one of those things they always like to talk about, because apparently that's the biggest priority for all of us. That might be a priority for some, but guess what? If we got our reparations, if someone wants to go and spend their check on some shoes, let them. It's their money. We can't tell what anyone to do with their money. It is what it is. Yet this guy that I just showed y'all, a CEO, spent $9,000 on a bid for a pair of shoes that retail for $400. No one's telling him how to spend his money, and he's a millionaire. But if black people was to do it, it's just somehow morally wrong. How dare this person spend all this money on a pair of shoes? Where are their priorities? Those talking points and then some would arise from the ashes like the phoenix. Tell me I'm lying. No one's pocket watching that man. But if it was a black man that did it, they would have been knee deep in his pockets, and you know it as well as I do, and so do they. So as far as I'm concerned, they can miss me with this. Again, I can't tell anybody how to vote when it comes to this election. People gonna do whatever it is they want to do, but all I can do is put out there the signs. And I'm telling you, either party is not any different from the other one. They operate in the same vein, especially when it comes to us. In this election cycle, if it's anything that I implore black people to do, is just take a step back and really look at from both angles, from both sides of the spectrum of each party, and how they operate with black people, how they talk to black people, how they engage with black people, and you will see they are very similar. Their tone may be different, their verbiage may be different, the way they deliver the message may be different, but when you couple all of those things together and kind of block some things out and really assess the situations at hand mentally, you can see that they are only in it for themselves, and we are nothing more than their little pawns that they want us to be so they can get forward. Ever ask them why do they want black people to be conservatives or be on the Republican side? They always say to get off the Democratic plantation, but that can't be the only reason. Same thing with the Democrats. Why are you going over there to vote for them? Why not over here? Why would they leave one plantation to go to the next? They're both a plantation. See, they don't like someone who's thinking for themselves, much like how I am right here. But they wouldn't call me a free thinker. And you know what? I wouldn't even want that title from them, because I already know who they label as a free thinker. I'm fine. Independent thinker, I think that's a much better title than a free thinker. At least by their standards. That's all I can say. Just really, really think of what they're trying to do here. Like, they are in the final hour. Like, the time is ticking and it's against them, and they're scrambling to try to see what they can do and what they can get out of black people, what they can squeeze out of us. And then when they get it, then they turn their backs on us yet again. And I'm here to tell you, I am not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. You cannot get me with the Jedi mind trick. You can try that on others, but you ain't gonna get me. There was one last thing I wanted to add. Who remembers this? You couldn't forget, because it wasn't that long ago, when a few months ago, not even a whole year has gone by, when 45 got his mugshot. Now, who remembers when I and several others, and even if you didn't hear from me, you probably saw it online, tried to say Trump has a mugshot, now he has street cred? Who remembers that? They were basically trying to say that because Trump had a mugshot, he now has street cred, basically alluding to black people having much mugshots means that they're cool, that they're good in the hood. First off, not every black person has a mugshot. And it's amazing how a lot of black people seem to have forgotten when they did that. That was not supposed to be seen as a compliment. That was an insult, just like these shoes in the comment that this individual said on Fox News said. That was also an insult. I'm going to need black people to really, really be quick on the uptake on when you're being insulted versus when you're being complimented.